Hi, I'm State Representative Doyle Heffley, and welcome to this edition of Legislative Report. Today we're in downtown Jim Thorpe, right along the D&L Trail, on top of the new connector bridge here, the Mansion House Bridge as they call it, and I'm with Elisa Garofalo, the director of the Delaware-Lehigh National Corridor. Elisa, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for all the work that you did to make this possible. If you could tell our viewers a little bit about where we're standing and what we're doing here.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here, Doyle, and we're standing here about midway on the Mansion House Bridge in Jim Thorpe, and this is a key connector along the D&L Trail. This is a point that really connects north to south, if you would, and is a key component in making Carbon County, that will be the first county of our 5 counties to complete their section of the trail. This is very near the location of the original Mansion House Bridge that served a hotel that was over there, and on this side of the river there was a Lehigh Valley Railroad station, and there was literally a stop there that helped visitors go on over to visit Jim Thorpe. And now this bridge is nearly in the very same location, very close to the same design, connecting this trail and connecting Jim Thorpe to the visitors who are in Jim Thorpe to the communities further south.
I'll tell you, you can't go anywhere any day of the week, even going into November and starting in March, without seeing bicycles either on the trail and year round right now, or on the roof rack of a car or the pickup truck. Just, this connector bridge is so important. And I think, we stand here in a very historic location in Carbon County, which once was the connection between the rail, the canal system, and the anthracite coal that was mined in the coal regions, and really brought this area through the Industrial Revolution as a prime location. And the bridge was really done in such a manner to reflect that heritage. And now, as you can see, I don't know if the camera can capture it, but there's some rafters coming down there. So while this was we connected coal and we connected the railroad and the canal, everything here, now we're connecting rafting, hiking, biking, and everything, and tourism here in Jim Thorpe. Just the connection of the trail and the outfitters that service this is going to be a tremendous boom to those overnight stays, and now people are going to be able to bike the trail, stay overnight, get back on the trail, and continue on their route. So
it's interesting, Jim Thorpe, and it used to be known as Mock Chunk, before they changed the name in 1953. But Jim Thorpe was originally a transportation center, and it was, as we say, for the entire National Heritage Corridor, it was a place where geography, geology, and genius came together. And so it was because of the proximity of the mountains, this river, and that Mock Chunk grew up. Originally, they would take the coal on the river, in what they called arcs down the river to help get the anthracite to Philadelphia. And then later, it was, using the switchback trail, they brought the coal that was mined near here, brought it and fed it onto the Lehigh Canal, and that was the way. This was a very key point. There was actually an area right where the park is now, where the canal boats would go, and the Hooven building was sort of like the Lowe's of the day. It was a distribution center. And where we stand right now there was a dam here, so that there was placid water for the bridges, or for the boats to be able to stage themselves. And then they headed on down, and right across here, when we crossed the bridge, you can see one of those beautiful high lift locks that were built by Josiah White and Erskine Hazard back in the 1820s, and it's still standing. It's absolutely beautiful. And so whether you're using this bridge as part of your bike trip, or you just take a walk over, you're going to be able to get to see a part of that nationally significant history because of this bridge.
And the D&L Trail, which starts in Easton, goes up into Luzerne County.
It starts almost in Philadelphia, Doyle.
Well, the Lehigh section.
The Lehigh section. So
starts in Easton. But
so the D&L Trail really follows the path of anthracite, and really it was the path that helped power America's 19th century industrial revolution. The anthracite that was mined here in Carbon and Luzerne County was put onto the Lehigh Canal, and then at Whitehaven, and then Jim Thorpe, and further down, and carried down to the Lehigh Valley to help fuel the iron furnaces that were there, and ultimately connect up with the Delaware Canal to take services to Philadelphia. And at Easton, that's another key place where our offices are located, where those systems come together. So this is really, really exciting. And I have to say, I think the history is awesome. But let's bring this forward to today. This is an example. The Mansion House Bridge is an example of partnership, how partnerships work. We would not be standing here without the D&L. We are the ones who've been championing it through the years. But if it weren't for Carbon County commissioners to take the leap of faith and become the owners of this bridge, we wouldn't be standing here. If it wasn't for the county putting a little bit of seed money into to match the money for the connector through the Carbon County hotel tax, that project wouldn't have happened. If it wasn't for PennDOT, DCNR, DCED, the William Penn Foundation, that's where the bulk of the funding came from. So it really is, and that's, you know, the day-to-day, what people don't see. That's what the Delaware and Lehigh National Heritage Corridor does. We facilitate partnerships, whether it's between the municipalities, the state agencies, the federal agencies. We help get through all of the obstacle course that you go through to be able to have a project like this come to fruition. So we're really looking forward to when this is open to the public, and it's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Well, I think the key is that things don't happen in a vacuum, and it takes that vision, it takes that direction, and building those partnerships. I know just in this bridge project alone, we've had several discussions on it, and working to secure and do what we can to help this project move forward, but also the fact of crossing over railroad, the railroad tracks, and dealing with the different railroads involved, and also the environmental, making sure that we're protecting the environment as we're going through these projects, and those all come with a cost and the time allotment. But at the end of the day, people are going to hop on their bicycles, or they're going to walk, and they're going to come up here, and they're just going to see, they're not going to see all the hurdles, but they're going to see the beauty of the river, the beauty of the town. They're going to experience and see the history and the heritage that comes along with this. And at the end of the day, they're also going to be promoting our economy here in Carbon County and in Jim Thorpe, but also in Lehigh, where they have a trailhead connection, in East Penn, where there's a trailhead connection, in Weissport, where there's a trailhead connection, and further up into Nesquehoning, and someday into Weatherly area, where all it's going to be connected through this, and it's going to bring folks, whether you live here and you just want to go for a ride on the trail, or whether you're a tourist and you want to pack up on your bike and just experience all that Carbon County has to offer, and nature, and stay at a bed and breakfast, or stay at a hotel, dine at some of our great restaurants, see a show at the Mock Chunk Opera House. It's all accessible right from the trail, right on your bicycle, and you can get on the trail in Easton, or in East Penn, or Weissport, Lehigh, or Nesquehoning.
And all of that is great, but you know what else it does? It can be used as a commuter corridor. You know, people who live in, Perryville, or Bowmanstown, or Lehigh, they can ride their bike to work. They can leave their car behind. People who are visiting, can leave their car outside of Jim Thorpe and ride their bike, and not have to deal with traffic and parking. It's also, one of the other tremendous partnerships that we have is with St. Luke's University Health Network. And, it's also part of the health equation. It's accessible to residents. It's free. You go out there, you walk, you bike, you hike, you take the kids out, you fish. There's so much information out there that points to the fact that when you exercise outdoors, it not only helps you physically, but also helps you mentally. And so there's the health component. When you talk about businesses locating in a particular location, trails are a key component of that quality of life. Also, everything else that you mentioned. But for instance, like Hearst is located 120 employees in downtown Easton. One of the prime reasons is because of the proximity of trails for their staff, for their employees. and we're preserving and conserving history. This, we are dealing with county property, borough property. We had 2 different railroads. We had to go through, make sure that it hit all of the requirements for DEP, all of the requirements for Army Corps of Engineering, all of the requirements for PennDOT. If you accept PennDOT money for a trail, you might as well be building a highway. And so, this bridge, as one of the requirements, must be able to support the trucks to be able to, for the borough to service their wastewater treatment plant, and also for ambulances to be able to go on it. Yeah. So this thing is built to last. Yeah. It was, constructed all American.
All American steel.
All American steel. When it was put into place, it was such a confined area. It made the cover of a crane operators magazine, because and I know for myself personally, when I drove down the Mansion House Hill and saw this being placed that day in December, you make a plan for something like this, and you hope it's going to be an asset to the community. Jim Thorpe is a very special, very picturesque place. We did not want to have something that would not be a wonderful addition. It
fits in right
and it fits right. It is.
And it's also very reminiscent of the old railroad bridges that were in the community. And actually Franz Klein, and some of his painting had referenced some of this. So just a reference, if everyone wants to Google Franz Klein, a local artist, and you'll see the connection to the architecture here and in some of his paintings.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. Yeah. So, and thank you for your help in ferrying through this. I joke that I could write a book. I mean, they started 25 years ago. I've been involved with it for, more than half the time. Yeah. So it is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
And it really takes a drive and a vision, but to see how this trail, which started 25 years ago, but to see now in so much of tourism is focused on that outdoor adventure tourism. And the ski resorts in the area play into the rafting, the hiking, the biking, the fishing, and everything else. But I want to thank you for all your work and your diligence in making this come to fruition, as well as my colleagues, Senator Dechek, and all the work that done through the state agencies and also the county commissioners, really for stepping up here in Carbon County and ensuring that this program that this bridge goes through, and having a vision to see what it's going to mean, the impact it's going to have this connection throughout Carbon County and to the tourism and to the economy here. So thank you for everything that you do.
You're welcome, but we're not done yet, so you'll be hearing from me for the other parts that we have to close, the gaps we have to close.
Well, I look forward to working together.
It's a landmark project, and it's been I'm very grateful to have been able to see it through.
Well, great. Thank you very much. Now let's head to downtown Jim Thorpe to talk a little bit to Kathy Henderson from the Carbon County Economic Development Corporation about the economic impact of the Mansion House Bridge project.
Did you know that on May 25th, 1905, the Statue of Commonwealth was installed on top the Capitol Dome in Harrisburg? Simply called Commonwealth, the bronze cast statue weighs in at 4 tons and stands over 14 feet high. In 1904, Roland Hinton Perry was chosen to sculpt this artistic figure, which he referred to as a symbolic embodiment of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Capitol architect Joseph Houston designed this bronze masterpiece with her right arm extending to symbolize kindness and with her left arm holding a ribbon mace symbolizing justice. During her decades of overlooking the city of Harrisburg, Commonwealth has endured periods of harsh weather leading to her deterioration and need for restoration. Prior to her refurbishing in 1997, Commonwealth was last restored in the 1940s. Under the direction of Rathgeber Goss Associates, the Commonwealth statue has undergone restoration and regilding to the form originally envisioned by her sculptor. Since being replaced on top the Capitol Dome in 1998, Commonwealth now graces the State Capitol building. Now you know.
Now we are on Ray Street here, also known as Stone Row behind us here in downtown Jim Thorpe, and we're with Kathy Henderson from the Carbon Chamber and Economic Development Corporation. Kathy, if you could just talk a little bit about the impact that the Mansion House Bridge, the D&L Trail, the biking and everything has to the tourism here in the Jim Thorpe and downtown area and the surrounding communities.
Well, it has a huge impact on Jim Thorpe, and it always has here in Jim Thorpe for the past 25 or 30 years. Tourism has been very important. So the D&L and the completion of the Mansion House Bridge here in Jim Thorpe is going to not only impact positively Jim Thorpe, but also the surrounding communities, especially Lehighton, Weisport, East Penn Township, and a lot of communities south of us into Lehigh County and Northampton County, because after that bridge is fully opened, people will be able to park elsewhere and bike into Jim Thorpe and enjoy all the shops and restaurants that are up here and not have to worry as much about parking. And that will benefit our other towns and boroughs as well, because they'll be able to see that there is a lot of interesting and historic things throughout our county.
We spoke earlier when I spoke to Elisa from the D&L Trail about the different trailheads throughout Carbon County and also in Northampton County, and what this connection bridge will be. So somebody could stay in Northampton County or stay in East Penn or Weisport or Lehighton and get on the trail with their bike and bike into downtown Jim Thorpe. We're right outside of the historic St. Mark's Episcopal Church here, which is definitely a must-see item if you're touring Old Mock Chunk, or what we call Jim Thorpe. Right. Definitely something that you want to see, but also all the small shops behind us that really rely on that steady flow of people coming into the community.
We always promote at the Chamber to shop local, and it's not just the shop owners and the restaurants, the hotels, the bed and breakfast, but it's also look out for your local farmers markets, because we have a really great farmers market in Lehighton every Saturday morning, and that brings in our farmers from our surrounding areas, and we want to support them as well. So a lot of different economic benefits that can result from tourism, and especially the trail coming through our whole county from north to south. It traverses the entire county. So that trail being open and accessible, not just to tourists, but also to our residents. I mean, every resident in Carbon County is proven on a map that we've done for another study that we did, the return on environment. Every resident in Carbon County is within 5 to 15 minutes of accessibility to a walking or biking trail or hiking trail. Mm-hmm. And that's unheard of in our country these days. And so it's extremely important to companies and business owners who want to come here, expand here, relocate here. The health benefits, as Alyssa said before, are very paramount to when a business owner looks to relocate or expand their business, because it will decrease their insurance costs for their employees. And who doesn't want to get off of work on a Wednesday evening or Friday evening and go out and hit the trails, come into town, have a beer, have a great meal, go see a show, and just enjoy life here?
Yeah, there's so much to offer here in Carbon County. And we spoke a little bit about partnerships with Elisa, and I know the Chamber thrives on partnerships, and that's Absolutely. What the Chamber's all about. And while you were speaking, I couldn't help but hear the train whistle of the train which operates daily out of Jim Thorpe and goes to the Lehigh Gorge, the scenic gorge, for a tour of passengers, but also the Reading Blue Mountain and also Norfolk Southern utilize these lines, and that brings commerce in our community. So not only do we have tourism trains, those same train companies and railroads are operating for economic development and helping businesses along this corridor to expand, just as they are with bringing passengers in trips from Reading to Jim Thorpe on shopping excursions. So it's not just it's about tourism, but it's also about the local folks coming and utilizing the shops here to do their Christmas shopping or any. There are so many different novelty shops that just offer you really unique experiences and items here.
That you can't find anywhere else. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, Carbon County tourism to us is one of our huge economic drivers. The D&L Trail, I've just seen new numbers this morning, drives an economic benefit or impact of over $144 million annually. That's huge, especially for a small county like us. And that is not the entire trail, that's Carbon County. And those numbers are up dramatically from the last report that I had from 2012. So obviously it's doing a really big benefit to Carbon County, which helps us also to keep our taxes lower. In a lot of our communities, the county taxes you know, it is a great benefit to us. But also you need to look at the railroads as not just being a tourism attraction, which they are, and I've ridden on them, the bike train and the Santa train.
You can take your bike, go on the train up to the gorge, and bike back, which is just a very unique
25
experience.
miles, but it's all downhill, and it's a very beautiful trail, so you have to try it. But like you said, they also bring commerce in. So they're freight trains as well as passenger rail excursions. And so Norfolk Southern, Reading Blue Mountain is a perfect example of how a smaller railroad, short line railroad, can benefit from being able to move goods from one point to another without impacting the highways and the truck traffic. And we all know how bad we hate, or how much we hate driving next to those big tractor trailers. But if you don't order from Amazon or anything else online, you're not going to be driving next to them. So it is a problem. Yes, I get
logistics management and logistics is, and I think the key is a partnership with the Reading Blue Mountain Northern Railroad is that, you know, not only are they capitalizing and the benefit to the community in the passenger and the tourism that they bring in and the passenger service, but also that they're also a very active and very profitable freight company as well. And I think that the key is, like, when you see projects like the Mansion House and the D&L Trail and those biking trails, that is a separate item inside the PennDOT's budget. There still are a lot of road construction projects. We know the 443 corridor is going to be, that project is going to be starting next year, as well as the Mansion House bridge project, which is going on right now, Route 209, where they're cutting back some of the rocks, and we have Route 248 scheduled in 2021, thank God, to finally get that road being refurbished. So there are a lot of active things happening in transportation. Also, the rail lines are being improved, and there's a new trestle bridge being built in Carbon County to assist that freight movement, which so many of our current businesses in Carbon County are capitalizing on, but also it's a way to attract those industries in. So what we want in Carbon County is we want to preserve our pristine outdoors, our nature, our connection, our small towns, but also at the same time have a growing, thriving economy. I think the D&L Trail can enhance that, as well as some of the other transportation opportunities we have.
I agree, and my platform in my Office of Economic Development here has always been, we need to protect the natural beauty and environment that we have here, because once it's gone, it's gone. And I work very hard with the D&L and with the Wildlands Conservancy and with the Audubon PA people. And we did a return on environment study last year that showcases what replacing our environment with man-made systems to purify the water or purify the air would cost, whereas nature does that for free. And so that's very important. But on the other hand, we can't live by trees and grass and water just looking at it. We need to have jobs, and we need to have good paying jobs. And so what we need to be looking at more here in the county is developing our brownfield sites, redeveloping our boroughs and towns where industrial buildings have been sitting idle for decades, and go in and either refurbish them or tear them down and start fresh.
And I think that's the key to the D&L. What they've taken was remnants of old rail lines, and also the towpath, existing towpath from the canal, and they kind of reinvented it into this now usable bike trail, as we see. And what we've done here in Jim Thorpe is it continues to evolve and reinvent, and that's what Carbon County is all about. It's just evolving.
We've always been like that. We've always been about reinventing ourselves, and we're going to be doing it again, and going the next step. So we went from agrarian to industrial, and now to environmental and tourism. But it needs to be a symbiotic relationship. So when you were talking about, and we were talking earlier to Alyssa about how the trail is connecting, there are new trail connections that are spidering off of the main spine of the D&L that are going to benefit our smaller communities that maybe not located right along the trail itself, such as Jim Thorpe. So Weatherly is putting in a new spur trail.
You'll be able to get on the trail in Weatherly at some point and ride right down to
But
there's
Lehigh
also
Gorge.
A lot of history in Weatherly as well.
Absolutely, a lot of history in Weatherly. It's an amazing little town with a lot of people in there that are so passionate about their town. And that's how all of our towns are. We have passionate residents who want only the best for them. East Penn Township is my home township is another beautiful example of the first campground along the D&L Trail is located at Riverview Park in East Penn Township. There's going to be another spur trail coming off of that into running westward along the base of the Blue Mountain. Again, following an old railroad bed that was I don't remember the name of the railroad. It was Lehigh. I think it was Lehigh Valley Railroad, actually, that went that way. So
there's just a lot of opportunities in the community, in the area, and we also know that we have a lot of transportation modes, and biking is such a big part of that as well. And a lot of communities have really capitalized on that as well. Yeah. But Kathy, I thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
And all that you're doing for the county. And I know we work closely on several different initiatives and projects. And we're not just looking at tourism. That's all parts of the puzzle. But not just tourism like we see here for history. We also have the ski resorts. We have a lot of opportunities throughout Carbon County, and also we have some cutting-edge manufacturers building fire trucks and machine shops that are designing parts for the automotive industry that are in almost every vehicle on the road.
We have the largest manufacturer of aluminum powders in the country right here in Carbon County.
Yeah. So it's all a balance, and that's the balance that we want to continue to move forward. So I definitely would invite folks to come out, ride the trail, reserve a room, go see a show, come to the restaurants and eat, and shop downtown, shop local. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Doyle.
And now we're going to head to one of the trailheads that are popping up all along the trail to connect more individuals with the D&L Trail.
Did you know that Act 16 of 1999 honors one of the greatest leaders in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives? The Matthew J. Ryan Legislative Office Building, once known as the Capitol Annex, is located next to the main Capitol building and honors the late Speaker of the House, Matthew J. Ryan. Those who visit this building will observe the magnificent architectural designs providing eloquence and grandeur to the building. Known as one of the greatest members in the history of the Pennsylvania State House, Matthew Ryan started his career in the legislature in 1963 and was elected Speaker in 1981. His charisma and knowledge will forever be reflected in the building now named after this great legislative leader. Now you know.
Did you know that in the corridors in the first floor of the Capitol of Pennsylvania, there are nearly 400 individual mosaics? The idea for creating these intricate tiles was first suggested by Henry C. Mercer in 1902. A year later, he received the commission to prove 16,000 square feet of pavement tiles for the Great Rotunda and corridors of the new State Capitol building in Harrisburg. Mercer set about designing approximately 400 mosaics. He chose as his general theme the history of Pennsylvania, and he soon realized that his tiles could tell stories. Although the arrangement seems random, the mosaics are very thoughtfully placed in the floor. The tile sequence is roughly chronological, beginning at one end with the scenes depicting the Native Americans. The mosaics progress into the story of European habitation in the New World and encompass the Commonwealth's triumph through process and intervention. Now you know.
And here we are at the Weisport trailhead to the D&L Trail along the Lehigh Canal. This part of the section of the trail actually follows the original towpath that was walked as they took the canal boats and the coal to market down in Philadelphia. So as you can see, just the amount of individuals that are out enjoying the trail, or just some of the footage from our conversations today, you can really see how the D&L Trail and the D&L corridor really connects together with what encompasses all of Carbon County. So I would encourage you, if you have time, to get out and hike or bike the trail and to enjoy the outdoors, enjoy all that Carbon County has to offer. And that's about all the time we have for this edition of Legislative Report. If you have any state-related questions or issues, please contact my office. The numbers will be listed below. Thank you.